What's up guys, my name is Ace, and today I've got a video that a ton of people have been asking from me, and this is, what are the top guns in Modern Warfare currently? So today I'm going to be sharing what I feel are the top 5 guns in this game, but I do want to take it a step further because people often dislike it when YouTubers just suggest the best guns in the game and the meta guns in the game, and encourage people to use just those guns. So on top of those top 5 weapons, I'm also going to be sharing 4 guns that I feel are extremely underrated, and I really encourage you guys to try because I'm just not seeing people use them in my lobbies, and yet I've found quite a bit of success with them and I really enjoy using them. So hopefully that'll find a nice balance where I'm giving you the accurate information, I will be sharing what the best guns are, but I also want to encourage that variety and share some guns that might actually become your favorite. Before we get into the list, keep in mind this video is within the first week of launch, and therefore things will definitely change over time. There will be buffs and nerfs, and things will adapt and evolve. So if you're watching this down the road, it might not apply anymore, but at least now it does currently apply. So let's kick this off with the elephant in the room. Of course, the best weapon in the game currently is the M4A1. There's no doubt in my mind that that is just the best overall weapon. This is one of those guns that just has the perfect combination of every stat. It's got the best handling in the assault rifle category. It's got the best combination of rate of fire and shots to kill, which allows for a very fast time to kill, but it's not necessarily the fastest. However, with the way that the rate of fire works, it's also extremely forgiving. So while there might be some guns that fire really slow that have a faster time to kill due to a higher damage, if you miss a shot with those guns, you're basically screwed, whereas with the M4A1, it is quite forgiving with its fire rate, while still having an extremely fast time to kill. The headshot multiplier is excellent, so you can drop people pretty much instantly as long as you're landing one single headshot mixed in with your body shots. And to top all of this off, it's got extremely controllable and predictable recoil. It's just that perfect storm where this gun is extremely good in any situation. It's not just a good all-around average sort of a gun, it's amazing in every situation. And I do feel like that's a problem in the game's current state, and I do feel we will see adjustments to this in the not too distant future. But in any case, I couldn't make this video without making a mention to the M4A1. However, I do want to encourage you guys to branch away from that gun, because the majority of lobbies just seem to be completely filled with that, and I would love to see people branching out and trying something new. So let's get into the next one on the list, and this is moving into the SMG category. This is the MP5. Currently, the MP5, in my opinion, is the best SMG, or at least it's really close with another one that we're going to be talking about in a little bit. And this, once again, is kind of that perfect storm. It's quite interesting, this has the exact same fire rate as the M4A1. And to top that off, it's got a great damage potential. It actually kills in one fewer shot up close compared to the M4A1, so it absolutely decimates everything up close. But it also has very decent recoil. It does bounce a little bit side to side, but generally I have no issue staying on target at pretty long ranges, like way longer ranges than I should have any business challenging with an SMG. I feel quite confident in those ranges with the MP5. It's got excellent handling, excellent mobility, and therefore it is absolutely a top 5 gun in Modern Warfare currently. This brings us to the next one on the list, and this is the Kilo 141. Now this gun isn't quite as good as the M4 in my opinion. The reason for this is that it has a slightly slower fire rate, therefore it's got a slightly slower time to kill, and it's also slightly less forgiving than the M4A1. And for some reason it actually has a shorter 4-shot kill range than the M4 does. Which does seem to be backwards to me because you would think with a slower fire rate, slower time to kill, it should have better range, but it doesn't. Having said that, it's still an excellent gun. It does have better recoil properties than the M4A1, and it's just a great all-arounder. This is the ACR of this game. It's actually nearly statistically identical to the ACR from Modern Warfare 2, and what this means is it's just really good in every situation. It holds its own up close just fine, and it dominates at those mid to long ranges. Also, just like with the M4, it's got really good aim down sight and sprint out times for the assault rifle category. And therefore, I would actually put this pretty much right up there with the M4A1. It's not quite as good in my opinion, but it's just below that level. Moving on to number 4 on my list, this is the MP7. Now, you might not be seeing a ton of MP7s in the lobbies right now just because it's such a late unlock level, but once you start seeing the general community reach that level to unlock the MP7, you're probably going to be seeing a lot more of it. Now, I'm often torn between the MP5 or the MP7. I would say they're both very top tier guns. The MP7 does have a faster fire rate than the MP5, and therefore it is more forgiving, but you do have to take that extra shot to get a kill up close. Just like the MP5 though, we've got really good handling and mobility stats. And again, it is very easy to control the recoil with the MP7. I actually think it's a little bit easier to control the recoil with the MP7, and therefore long-range engagements are no problem, even though this is an SMG. As a result, the MP7 absolutely makes this top 5 list. And this leaves us with one final gun on my top 5 list, and this is going to be controversial that I even included it in this video, because it is becoming a problem as more and more people find out about it. But the best way to get a balance problem fixed is to bring it to light. This is the 725 shotgun. For those of you guys that haven't seen yet, the 725 shotgun has a ridiculous one-shot kill range. Now, if you're looking at it from a purely realistic standpoint, sure, it actually kind of makes sense, because shotguns are quite lethal in real life out to a pretty decent range, depending on the load that you're using. But in Modern Warfare, we're using buckshot, and absolutely, it would be lethal out to a very good range. The problem with that, though, is when we're looking at Call of Duty and the traditional engagements that you find within Call of Duty, it immediately makes this gun completely overpowered. And I do think this is a problem, and it's only going to get worse until a balancing change happens. Now, yes, the big downside to using the 725 is it's an over-under shotgun, and therefore you only get 2 shots before you have to complete a reload time. However, in my opinion, the upsides completely outweigh the downsides for this shotgun. And therefore, I did have to throw it on the top 5 list because I'm not here to lie to you guys. It is a top 5 gun currently. So there you guys have it. Those are the top 5 meta weapons for Modern Warfare currently in public matches, at least. I don't know what's going on in competitive. But now I want to move into what I feel is a more important part of this video. And this is 4 extremely underrated guns that I think if you guys haven't tried yet, you absolutely have to give them a shot. Unlock a few attachments as well so you can get them to a good point. And you just might find your new favorite gun. And the first one is actually quite surprising to me, at least. I didn't think I'd like this gun as much as I do. This is the Pkm Lmg. For those of you guys that didn't know, the Pkm statistically has the fastest time to kill out of any full auto weapon in Modern Warfare, if you exclude multipliers as well as attachments. It's also got quite a forgiving fire rate on top of this, and this means even if you're missing a bullet and your enemies aren't missing a bullet with their gun, you're probably still going to win that fight because you have that time to kill advantage and that forgiving rate of fire. To top that off, it's incredibly accurate. Yes, it's got slower handling than the other guns because it is an LMG. You can mitigate that with attachments a little bit, but also with the playstyle of this game, handling isn't quite as important as it used to be in previous Call of Duty games because you're going to want to be pre-aiming most things anyways. Top that off with an insane 100 round magazine capacity that you can push all the way up to 200 rounds with no downsides, I should mention. Little hint for tomorrow's video. Extended mags does nothing to decrease that aim down sight speed, so you can push it to 200 rounds with no downsides. And this gun is just a monster. So if you haven't tried the PKM yet, make sure you give it a go. I think a lot of you guys are going to fall in love with it. Moving on to the next really underrated gun that I have on my list that may not be for everyone, but I think a lot of people will really enjoy it if they just give it a go. This is the Mark II Carbine. Now this gun I think is intimidating to a lot of people because it is a one-shot kill lever action, assuming you're hitting that upper chest shot. So I think a lot of people immediately tie that with a sniper rifle in their heads. And for many people, sniping is a bit daunting. They're not really good at sniping and therefore they don't want to try out the Mark II. However, the big difference here is the Mark II handles more like an assault rifle than a sniper rifle. So if you're somebody that can consistently hit that first shot on target with an assault rifle, I think you're really going to enjoy the Mark II. It is extremely satisfying to get those quick, snappy one-shot kills with. It doesn't feel like I'm quick-scoping when I'm doing that. It doesn't feel like sniping. It feels like I'm using an assault rifle that has that one-shot kill potential. Now, of course, it is unforgiving. If you miss that shot or if you miss that upper chest multiplier, yeah, it's going to be a bit unforgiving for you. You might be in trouble at that point. But as far as raw fun goes, while also having very good power, the Mark II Carbine, I think is great, and I never see anybody using it in my lobbies. This brings us to the next gun on the list, and this is the R90 Shotgun. Now, this shotgun doesn't have the insane one-shot kill range that the 725 shotgun has, so I wouldn't consider this one to be insanely overpowered and definitely a top 5 weapon. However, it does still have a very respectable one-shot kill range, considering you can fire 2 consecutive shots quite quickly. So even if you do get that hit marker on your first shot, the second shot is ready to go, as long as you're lining your shots up properly. This is something that some people weren't aware of, but with the R90, Like I said, the 2 shots consecutively will have a pretty fast fire rate. Then there's a delay before you can fire your next 2 shots. Now, for anybody that gets a 1-shot kill with this shotgun, even though you already got your kill, I do encourage you to either reload or fire your next shot, because then this resets that delay, so then the next 2 shots can be fired quickly. If you're ensuring that you always do that, this gun is absolutely dominant in close range situations. There's pretty much nothing aside from the 725 that can touch this thing. And this is why I did want to let you guys know that it is very solid, and if you haven't tried it yet, give it a go and you just might like it. And with that, this leaves us with one last really underrated gun that I really enjoy, and this is the Odin. Now with the Odin, when we take into account that it has an upper chest multiplier, which makes it a 2-shot kill as long as you're hitting the upper chest, this is actually the fastest killing full auto weapon. Now that does need to be distinguished from the Pkm, because the Pkm you can hit anywhere in the body to get that insanely fast time to kill, whereas the Odin, you do have to be more precise with your shots. But if you've got that precision, you can drop people really, really quickly with the Odin. It is a lot more forgiving than the Mark II Carbine, for instance, but not quite as forgiving as something like the M4 for obvious reasons. But the Odin is just a gun where, especially once you level it up past the first few initial levels and you start to get some attachments for it, it really does start to become quite dominant in the right hands. And I've really enjoyed my time with it so far, so as a result, it definitely made this list as far as underrated weapons go. But with that, that's going to wrap up today's video on the top 5 weapons in Modern Warfare, as well as a few underrated ones that I definitely encourage you guys to check out if you haven't already. I'd like to know in the comment section below, first off, do you agree or disagree with this list? And second, what do you currently think is the best gun in Modern Warfare? Do you agree with me and think it is the M4A1, or do you think there's something else that's actually on top? If you enjoyed the video, a like rating is always appreciated, and don't forget to subscribe for more if you haven't already. I'll talk to you guys next time.